I am so freaking excited to introduce this next speaker. I just had a brief moment to speak with her, and throughout all the times that when I was learning about her, she is just as real as all the things that I was seeing on her social media pages and her interviews, and she's just going to absolutely bring it. Top business leaders 40 under 40. Top 50 women in business. 10 people making a difference. Top 10 business consultants by Yahoo Finance. She's been in TV, radio, newspapers, won awards. Not just for her business acumen, but for her charity work, her advocacy, and for her philanthropy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm legacy welcome to Candy Valentino.
Couple minutes for if anybody has any specific questions that we want to ask. Candy's here. I think you're flying out tonight, right? But we're going to break for lunch in just a couple minutes. First of all, on the book, I just talked to Sarah. We were talking about it actually before Candy went on. We're going to buy a book and send it to all of you guys. So you guys are all going to get a copy of Candy's book. And here's what I would ask. Support, make contribution by ordering another one and gifting it to somebody. That'd be a pretty cool thing to do, right? So now we're selling twice as many books, right? Getting it in twice as many hands and making a bigger impact. And I love all the things that you said about, you kept on bringing it back to legacy and like, what does that really mean? And, a lot of people on the surface think legacy is passing down property or estate or money or treasure. And what we believe is it's passing down information. It's passing down mindset. It's passing down the insights on how to go and do it yourself, right? Like my kids could inherit money, but they would probably spend it because I didn't, right. Because it's more important to understand how to do it. Like if my kids come to me and they're 15 or 18 and they say, hey, Dad, I don't need any of your money. Go and spend it on whatever. Donate it wherever you want because you taught me how to make it myself, right? And I'm going to do it bigger. I'm going to do it better. And I was like, I hope my kids, like I know that I achieved great parenthood success if my kids can come to me and say something like that. So I think that's what true legacy is: teaching, contributing, making a bigger impact on future generations. So amazing stuff. We have a couple of microphones. Does anybody have any questions for Candy that they want to ask? Fernando.
Do you have any ways where you can teach kids how to contribute, like steps to teach a kid how to contribute?
So in the last chapter of the book, I actually have that broken down, even with conversation starters of what you can say. I think that it's important. And obviously, if you want to teach them how to do it, it's not going to be as received as if you do it with them, right? So it's like, how can you get involved? I have a couple charities listed in there that are typically related to kind of kids with the kids focus and animal focus, because that's typically viscerally what they are drawn to. And then it's 10% of your time. Like, I don't have kids, but I can promise you that if I did, every time I went and donated my time, they would be there right with me. That's what I learned with my dad. Like, I wasn't taught business, I caught it by being in that environment my entire life from 5 years old to 16. So I would say go with them, get involved in something. And maybe since Christmas is coming up, it's like a perfect opportunity to start. But you can have those conversations. But I think it first starts with the allocation of money, what you're using it for, and then this is like something we're doing as a family that we're going to contribute this way to. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I love that. I think, the kids are always going to follow whatever we do, right? Not what we tell them to do, but they're going to do exactly how we do it. And leading by example, being a leader, showing them how it should be done, how we want them to behave is how we should probably behave, It's how we should lead them as the matriarchs or patriarchs of our family. So, just being intentional on all that stuff. My kids have been too small, I think, to go and, donate time at a soup kitchen or something. But now they're at the age. Now my daughter's 7, my little guy's 5. And, I'm like, hey, how can we do more of this, right? Give them the check at the end of dinner and have that. Like, that's one of the things I do with my daughter, Penelope. I'm like, hey, P, it's up to you. How much we tipping? She'd be like, $100. I was like, we just got coffee, right? Like what? I was like, write $100 down, and you got to sign it. And then she signs the check. She gives a $100 tip. She hands it back. I'm like, thank you so much. It's like, that's a pretty cool way of getting them involved. So I love it. Any other questions? Over here, Fatty.
It's actually from me. So started my first business when I was 24 years old, and there's a lot of people in this room that either just started or are thinking about starting their first business. 19 years old is super impressive, but my question is, how long did it take you to see real success so that the people here don't get discouraged if it takes more than a year, 2 years to see that true success?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you probably don't want to know the answer. I remember learning this when I was young. Now, granted, success looks different for everyone, right? Wealth is different for everyone. Some people, true success is, I just want to make $100,000 a year. Like, that's success. Some people are not happy till it's $1 million. Everybody's different. But I remember hearing, I started in a business group around 26, because you had to be doing like $2 million in revenue to be in it. And I remember them saying, like, it's going to take a solid 10 years for you to have sustainable processes and systems in order for the business to be able to be that machine that kind of lives with on. And I was like, 10 years? Like, I thought this was going to take like 3 years and I was going to be loaded. And it literally took every bit of 10 years. I mean, I was making money. Yes, it was successful. Yes, we had tons of clients. But for it to have that sustainable processes and systems in place where I didn't have to always be going in for emergencies and urgent things that were kind of like useless of my time, it almost took every bit of 10 years.
So tell us about the ride on the way up to 10, though, right? Because a lot of people forget about the fact that it's not, what I like to say, it's not the top of the mountain that matters, it's the ride up, if you're not enjoying the ride up, right?
100%. Like, I love building business. Like, obviously, I did it for a reason, but I love it. Like, to the point where, I mean, I had my last exit in 2019, and I didn't have to do anything. I was like, finally, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to relax. I'm going to go to the beach, hang out. I think it was, maybe 2 months that I was able to do that, because it's like when you love business, when you love investing, when you love that, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't feel like I don't feel like I work 12, 14-hour days because I love what I'm doing. So I think it's really important to enjoy the process in that journey, because it's about who you become. Like, if I wouldn't have had a lot of the challenges that I had when I was younger, I wouldn't have been able to be resilient AF as I was in business. I wouldn't have been able to be relentless when I pursued a goal. And then that just got deeper as we built. So it's all about playing the long game. If that's one mantra that you leave with today, it's play the long game. Your relationships, your business, your investments compound over time. Warren Buffett, when we did the study, he made 97% of his wealth after age 57. After age 57. He was investing for decades, and then boom, it happened. And I wish I could tell you something different. I think it might be slightly lower in this online world, because you can get your messaging out. I feel like data is easier to collect when we were trying to do it manually back then. But still, I mean, if you're playing the long game, what the hell does it matter if it takes 8 years or 12 years, because you're in it? So it's a great question.
Guys, we're not doing anything that's an experiment. You realize that, right? Like, real estate has proven to build so much wealth, and business, you were sharing stats before, like, nearly every person who's a multi-millionaire has made it either in owning a business or owning real estate, and if they made it somewhere else, then they put it into real estate or into business in order to sustain that wealth. So it's like, it will work. It's gonna catch. And many of you, none of us are where we want to be. Like, we all have these big ambitions and big growth. I was actually talking to Bill Rancic for a couple minutes, and one of the things that came up is a Jim Rohn quote. And Jim Rohn's said something once where he said, can you imagine, instead of like chasing something, he goes, imagine reaching a place in your life where you're both ambitious and content. Right? Most ambitious people are not that content. Most contented people are not that ambitious. Can you imagine reaching a place, like, this is on my goal list. This is like the number one pinnacle of what I want to achieve in my life. Is like, can you imagine reaching a place of both ambition and content? Can you imagine what kind of place that would be? It's powerful, right? So like, how do we become content? I think going on that journey and going on the run up for 10 years and going through all the struggles and the adversities and the difficulties gives you the appreciation, right? To then be content when you do reach that place.
The other thing to remember, kind of going off of what you said, is oftentimes I see entrepreneurs, people in general, like majoring, and again, I don't know if this is someone's quote, but it's majoring in the minor things. It's like getting all in on these little minutia things in our lives and in our business and focusing on things that are truly insignificant. I use the analogy, it's like if I handed you like a golf ball after a golf ball, like this is, you worrying about this investment. This is you ordering products for your business. This is you having conversations with your staff. And you're trying to hold all of these little golf balls. Meanwhile, there's this big, beautiful basketball that's waiting for you, but your hands are already full. I think it's important to remember that contentment with where you are, but remembering that what you actually want could be blocking you from what you can actually have. And I feel that we sometimes focus on this next part, and we're actually missing the whole thing. That's why it's so important to play the long game, because you don't know what mountain, what peak you're on. When I was 26, I felt like I got to the top of the mountain. 25, I thought I got to the top of the mountain. I was in the fancy groups. We were doing significant revenue. I had made more money than my friends were just exiting colleges with their degrees, and I had made more money than anybody that I had known. But it was a really, really small peak. And if I would have focused on that peak and lost the vision, lost the why that I'm doing it to begin with, I actually would have been less wealth, less successful. But I kept focusing while I was happy and contributing. I was still focusing on what we could also do. But you got to eliminate, you got to drop all those little golf balls that you're majoring in so that you can really get what life is trying to bring you, which I think oftentimes we don't even know until it's here.
Love it.
Candy, first of all, congratulations on getting this book out, and I really admire you for doing everything you're doing. I'm very impressed with you as a woman. I actually think I don't know if I say this enough, but I think women are just incredible in business. I don't know why, they just take care of stuff. I love that.
Thank you.
So, what can you say to someone that? And by the way, Trevor did a great intro of you.
He did an incredible intro. Oh my gosh, I had to bring it to just live up to that.
So, what can you say to someone that quit their job, and so they can start, getting into a business, and for whatever reason they can't get through, and they're kind of starting to feel like, oh man, maybe I should go back to my job. What can you tell to that person that is at that particular time, which we've all been there at some point, and then two, how do you focus on the things that matter and avoid the shiny object syndrome that we all have? Because I think those two kind of correlate, right? Like you go and you want to start your own business, and then all these people are giving you so many ideas.
Yes.
I'm a true believer on figuring out what your advantage is and just kind of like focusing on that. I just wondering what your take is on all that.
So first off, ideas are the enemy of your focus. Ideas will never build a multi-million-dollar company. It's the execution and implementation of those ideas that will. So it's always easy. Entrepreneurs want to ideate. It's like this ADD syndrome that it's like synonymous with entrepreneurs. Ideation isn't going to create wealth. It's going to create distraction. So it's remembering that first, and then you have to have the discipline to not be distracted. Because we're all going to be wired a certain way, but if we choose, right, it's what we choose. We don't want to go to the gym, but we choose to go to the gym because we know it's going to be good for our bodies and our mind and our health. So if you want to build something, every time that distraction comes up, you have to choose not. What I do is a few different things. One, my phone is always on silent, like literally always on silent. There are a few numbers that can get through for an emergency. That's it. It is on silent and upside down and within my reach when I'm focused on something. Because I am not going to allow somebody else's agenda, their issue, their text, their email, to distract me from what I need to do. Now, it's kind of difficult to create friendships sometimes with that because you don't get back to people for over a week, but the only way I could actually write the book was to literally go all in and focus, and nobody could get my time. Not that I didn't want that, but I had to do that or I would have never written the book in the amount of time that I had. So that's key. It's a discipline and a choice. Anyone that is starting in business and you're not getting where you want, I want everyone to remember this. It's not you. It's not you. It's not your worth. It's not your ability. It might be the industry, the business, the timing, the location. Entrepreneurs who have that fire, that drive, you're always going to find your way as long as you don't let that fire go out. But sometimes we don't have the discernment in the beginning to find the right business at the right time, in the right industry, in the right location. Any one of those things off would be detrimental. When I started my first business, we didn't have a ton of competition. So I went hard and down to be able to be the pioneer in that space. Then when I saw, oh my gosh, I have all these people that want to know what jewelry I have on and what lip gloss I want on, I'm going to develop products to sell them, because why would I sell them someone else's products that they're making money on when I can build my own name on my own products and have a higher profit margin? So it's all about learning, and if you sit and wait to have the perfect idea for the perfect business, you're just going to be sitting and waiting. Clarity comes in motion, but clarity can never come through chaos. That's why it's so important to get clear and stay focused. I would also say in the book, there's a little framework, and it is anyone that wants to start a business or a side thing, or you have investments and now you want a business because you know that 75% of all the wealthiest people have also businesses. 4 things. It's the business success roadmap. What do you already know? What do you know? What do you have experience in, right? What is there a market that people will buy, which there's pretty much a market to buy anything. What exactly do you have the experience in to deliver or can wrap up something in, and then finding that customer? We oftentimes overcomplicate business. We want to find a business or do a laundromat or do this thing but that takes capital, it takes focus, it takes a little bit of discernment to know the area. Is it going to work there? Is it not? And then that's where you have a lot of risk, but you never risk what you know. So obviously it's not the best way to build wealth long term, but in the short term, stick with what you know. Stick with what you know. How do you take a product or service around that? Anyone can, literally, I always say $1,000 in a weekend. Anybody can do it because there's Upwork and Fiverr and all types of freelancer ways, or buying products, flipping products. Even that takes a little bit of research, but you know something and you can deliver it in a different way or market it in a different way than anybody else has. So I think that that's kind of a little bit of clarity, but always remember, it's not you. It's either the industry, the model, the timing, or the location.
That was a banger.
Thanks.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us today. Thanks so much for Tim for building the machine to make this all possible. But I was curious about one thing. Now, you told us all about wealth habits. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
But I'm curious about Candy, right? Like, if we're looking at the book of Candy and reading this actual book, what chapter would you say that you're on right now? And why would you title it that?
Oh, that's deep.
That's a good one.
That's a great question.
This is going to be the last question, by the way.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like you're either growing. It's a Napoleon Hill. You're either growing or dying. I am in a pursuit of growth and contribution, always. It's when I'm the happiest. It's when I feel the best. It doesn't even matter if the growth part is a success, because I tend to learn far more in the no's and in the failures than I ever did in any of my successes. I feel like I'm only scratching the surface. Like, I feel that my life has been so much grind and grit and run. That's why I can speak so easily to majoring in those minor things and holding all those golf balls, because I did it for so long. And I know so many entrepreneurs that I work with do the same. I wouldn't trade it for the world because of what I learned. I'm so interested now to take all I've learned, throw it in a book, and then not only be able to help other people do it, but now almost like reset for the next 25 years. Like, what I've done is the 25 years to get here, but what's it going to look like in 25 years more? How many charities can I help? How many people can I serve? How many, financial literacy? Like, there was never a book about financial literacy and wealth from a female when I was a kid. It was Robert Kiyosaki, it was David Bach, and all the stats show that money actually is, this isn't my opinion, don't come at me, that money is actually managed better by women than men. We don't know the exact reason why, but it's actually just the truth. It's a fact. I don't know if there's an ego. We actually tried to dive into why. Can't find that out, maybe for the next book. But women actually can do money better. So it's like, why did we never have a book on wealth from a female? Until literally now. There's a couple other money books out there, but they have a different approach. Here's the thing. I don't ever want to stand on stage or talk to somebody and get you to a place where you have to live on Social Security benefits. A lot of people, gurus, speakers, whatever you want to call them, that are talking about money are just trying to get people to not be broke. But they themselves never used their own teachings to get where they are. And I hope you're tracking me. I'm not throwing out names. But there's a lot of people that talk about
We
money.
all know exactly who you're talking about, by the way.
That talk about money, but they themselves didn't do that to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's got to stop. How about we share with people the real shit? We tell them exactly how to do it. Understand most people won't get there, but it still doesn't keep us away from the real truth, the real information. So I love that question, and what I'm super excited about is how many little kids, little girls, little boys that get their hands on this book, how many people gift it to other people and realize that you don't have to be the most educated, you don't have to live in a really big town, you don't have to come from the best parents, you don't have to have a ton of privilege in order to build wealth. Anyone can do it, even from this girl from a trailer back in Pennsylvania.
Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Oh, I love this. Thank you.